Hey, what's going on? It is your girl, Dia Patterson. How are you guys doing tonight? You already know it is Wednesday, and we are doing our monthly mini series, Power Push monthly mini series. Listen, as you guys are coming in, don't forget to say what up to your girl. You know, I love for you to say, hey. So make sure you guys come on in and say hey to your girl. Let me know if you can see me good, you can hear me good. Let me know. Okay. How are you guys doing tonight? Listen, it has been a power-packed week thus far, and it's only been 3 days. Okay. So on Monday, we had Dr. Brittany Bryant. She was amazing, giving us nuggets on how to basically just be courageous and how she didn't think she'd even be able to be a doctor. And now she is touching all types of lives and the lives that touch those lives. Oh my goodness. Power packed. Last night, we had a whole bunch of technical difficulties, but the meat was still good. We had Miss Renee Massey. Yes, she was in the building. You guys really hung out and hung in there during all of the difficulties. Listen, as you guys are coming in, don't forget to say hey. Don't forget to say hey. I want to know if you can hear me, and I want to know if you can see me, because I'm trying on my new mic today, and it worked good last time. I want to make sure it's still working good, okay? So listen, this morning we had Natasha Mitchell, and we gave a moment to lift up and encourage those who are breast cancer survivors. We talked about how and what to do basically to get more information. We talked about how you are put in you survived before you survive, so you have to fact check. We talked about waiting for your then. A lot of us are right in the middle of our then, right? We're still in a situation, and we're right there, right before the then happens. You know, I was here and then this, right? I did this and then this. I was down here and then this. I was sick and then, you know what I mean? So we're right there in our then. And so tonight, I am super duper excited about the show tonight. I'm super excited about our guest tonight. A friend of mine that I personally grew up with in the hard streets of Rochester, New York. And so I'm very excited to have her on. It's always cool to be able to link up with those who I grew up with. So we all transformed together. Do you know what I mean? So that's always great. Listen, I do not see any comments. If you are watching, if you are listening, go ahead and say what up to your girl now. Say hey. All righty, tidy. Listen, you guys already know what we're talking about this entire month. This entire month, we are talking about the word courageous. And as Renee broke it down last night, it's really just being brave. That is what it's all about, being brave. And so that is what we are talking about this entire month. Hey, Trinice, what's going on? Trinice, let me know if you can see me and hear me good. All right. And so we're talking about being brave. And tonight is very, very, very special and near and dear to my heart, because it is for entrepreneurs, right? A lot of us, as we are waking up and as we are getting these dreams and as we are getting these visions and as these ideas come to our head, we are finding out that there's an entrepreneur on the inside of us, right? And so tonight we are talking to one of the best entrepreneurs out there. She is out here killing the game, and I'm extremely excited to talk to her. So let's go ahead and share this out right now. Go ahead and share. There is somebody that you know that is an entrepreneur. There is somebody that you know that is ready to start a business, or they're thinking about it, or maybe they want to turn their hobby into a business. They want to monetize. Maybe it's somebody who has a ministry that they want to take to the marketplace. One thing that I've seen, especially with us believers, it is hard for us to accept money for our gifts, right? It is hard for us to turn these gifts that God put in our hands. It's hard for us to turn it into a business. And so tonight we are talking to one of listen, she just gets busy. Like, wait till you see. Wait till you see, okay? She is really getting busy. And I wouldn't even call her an entrepreneur. I would actually call her a multipreneur, right? I guess we're in the day and time, and this is really good. I'm so excited to talk about this because we are now at the point where we're trying our hands in whatever's in our hand. If you are a creative like me, you are pretty good at multiple things, right? I'm a good old fashioned left hander. So I do all types of things and I do all types of things well, right? And so people would say, oh my goodness, that's amazing. But as a creative, it's pretty difficult because you have to figure out which lane to go in. Do I sing? Do I do hair? Do I do graphic design? Which part of me do I make into this thing called a business? So talking to multipreneurs is amazing to me. Listen, before we even jump into it, let me go ahead and introduce myself to those of you that do not know who I am. My name is Dia Patterson, and I am your power pusher. Over here, I believe that we need to pray, pursue, and persist until something happens. Okay, let me break it down. Some of us are praying. Some of us are praying. We're praying without ceasing. That is what the Bible says. But I have a question here. We're praying without ceasing. We're also praying without listening. We're also praying without doing. We're also praying without moving. And so we have got to pray. Then we have got to pursue the thing. Because if you genuinely go to God with a prayer, with a request, whether it's wisdom, whether it's money, whether it's healing, no matter what it is, he's going to say, do this. As a matter of fact, he may just say, hey, David, go over there, pursue, overtake, and without fail, you will recover all. Okay, so we've got to pray, then we have got to pursue it. And oh my goodness, this last part is it's the secret sauce of the entire puzzle. You have got to stay persistent. Somebody type in stay persistent. Yeah. Listen, this whole world, we are in such a microwave day and time that we just don't stay on things long enough. We quit right before the breakthrough happens. We quit right before the healing happens. We quit directly before our then. Right? And so that is a problem. All right. Stay persistent. Hey there, Keisha, we have got to stay persistent. So over here, we believe you need to pray, pursue, and persist until something happens. Over here, I provoke courage and I provoke the confidence to get up and reposition your life. Some of us have been through some things in our past, and it's time for us to get back on track. I don't really know if that's a dance, but it felt really good for me to do just now. So yeah. But for some of us, that is what it's all about. That's what it's all about. Repositioning your life and taking your life back. I'm here to let you know that it's not too late. More than anything, you already know I'm your homegirl with one dimple, some cute, and a whole lot of God. So that's what it is. I am just like you. I do not have a special blood. I am not from Wakanda. As a matter of fact, I'm from upstate New York. I just decided to take my life back. And so the moment that I decided to take my life back and I saw me the way that I was supposed to see me, I wanted to do the same for every woman that I run into. So that's who I am. That's what I do. So you can look forward to all types of motivation right here on Power Push TV. But tonight is all about being courageous. Somebody type in be courageous. Be courageous. Come on, somebody type that in. Be courageous. Be courageous. And normally, this month, I really did put a scripture to go with this here topic, okay? It's not just about, we're not just talking about it, we're going to put some word on it. So with this be courageous, our attached scripture is 2 Chronicles 32:7, and it says, be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid nor dismayed before the king of Esra. Do not be afraid. Listen, of failure. This is my injunction. Do not be afraid of failure. Do not be afraid of rejection. Do not be afraid of success. Listen, because there are more with you than with him. So it's time for us to be courageous in the season because we are going to a whole nother level. We are leveling off. We are leveling off. So I am, like I said, I'm just super excited about the show tonight because it's all about being an entrepreneur and actually going with your instincts. Yeah. Right. We don't normally do that. I don't know why, but it is something about our instincts that make us ignore it when that is the thing that is leading us in the actual right direction. Your instinct is leading you there. Your gifts are leading you there. Come on, your connections are leading you there. And it's time for us to go with that because the thing that's inside of us was actually given to us so that we can create wealth. Somebody type in create wealth. Create wealth, create wealth, create wealth. That is what it is all about. And listen, as our guest is making her way to backstage, I am going to go ahead and read off some notes that I have been taking throughout the week because we have been getting some bomb nuggets, some bomb nuggets, some bomb nuggets. Listen, just this morning, our guest Natasha Mitchell, in which she came on to talk about her journey with breast cancer, but we got way more out of that. She talked about how she really battled, even before this huge battle of breast cancer, she battled with insecurities. Somebody type in insecurities. Does anybody battle with being insecure? Does anybody battle with lack of self-confidence? Does anybody battle with not seeing yourself correctly, right? I don't see myself clearly, so I don't move. I don't see myself clearly, so I stay in a toxic situation. I don't see myself clearly, so I don't go for it. I don't try to achieve. I don't try to move. I play it safe, right? And so she talked about how she had these different insecurities and she gave us some real nuggets. She got to the point to where she had no choice but to fight. That was number one. And who did she fight for? She had to fight for herself. So number one, listen, we got to get to the point where we have no choice but to fight. And then we have to fight for ourselves. Then she talked about building yourself. Because after the fight, listen, when you're going through these things, it's going to break you down. So now you have to build yourself up. And we have to be like David and encourage ourselves. She talked about how she had to survive because it's not all about us. It's about everybody we're connected to, right? It's about everybody who's connecting to us, whether it's our community, whether it is our family, whether it is those who are watching us on live, whether it is our patrons. Listen, whatever you're going through, it is not for you. And last but certainly not least, she talked about then, your then, your then, your then, your then. Listen, I'm just going to get to last night real quick because, woo, throughout all the technical difficulties, some real bombs were still dropped. Real bombs still dropped. Real bombs were still dropped last night. Come on. Real bombs were still dropped last night. Miss Renee Massey, first of all, she talked about being massive. That's how we ended the entire night, about being huge. Somebody type in, I am huge. I'm bigger than what I think. I'm bigger than what I know. I am huge in God's eyes, which is why he keeps giving me dreams, which is why he keeps giving me visions, which is why he keeps connecting me, which is why he keeps changing my mind and changing my thoughts. Listen, I am massive in his arms. I am massive in his eyes. I am huge and I am massive and I am big. So she talked about being massive and big. And then we talked about the term that keeps me going. I even had to say it this morning. I believe God. I believe God. And if you think about it, every message is totally lining up. I believe God. She talked about going through her journey of starting her product line and just doing all of these different things, carrying on the legacy of her father and being doubtful, but having to realize and go back and fact check that God has never let her down, that God has never, he's never ignored the prayer request. He's never ignored the healing opportunity. He's never not been there. And so in this point, in this juncture in her life, she believes God with all her heart. Somebody type in, I believe God. I believe God. I believe God. Listen, without further ado, the guest is in the building. Listen, somebody put your hands together, your emoji hands together for my friend from upstate New York, my girl, Tawana Bain. Come on, y'all, put your hands together for her. Put your hands together as she comes in. Hey, girl, hey.
Hello, hello.
How
Thank
are
you
you
so much
doing?
for me. Girl, running from one thing to the next. I have to say, though, that I am sitting
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Let's do
in a
this.
historic place.
Say it
I'm,
again.
I'm sitting in a historic place. I am sitting in Roots 101 Museum, the first African American museum that launched here in Louisville, Kentucky. I had a interview with them before it ran over, so I apologize. Dia did everything she was supposed to do. I just didn't make it here on
I was
time.
like,
Thank you.
okay. You got to learn how to roll with the punches when it comes to live.
Roll with it.
So listen, I am so excited. Well, we might as well start here. How did you end up in this historic place?
Well, so Lamont Collins and I have been colleagues for quite some time. I've been able to follow his story and his dream of bringing African American history to life in Louisville. And so we were at a business conference together. There was a 3-day business conference here that our chamber put on. And he said, listen, I got a chance to meet you, heard what you were saying. I'd love to have you as a guest on my show. It just so happened that his show was an hour before your show. So I was like, listen, I'm gonna say yes to both of them because I'm just trying to live my best life.
Listen, well, live it, girl, live it. Listen. So I did not even do you all the justice that's due you. Go ahead and introduce yourselves to those who are watching who may not be as familiar with you as I am.
Oh dear, girl. I mean, I don't know. I'm a multipreneur.
Yes.
Dia and I used to hang. I remember humble beginnings, baby. I remember it all. And so, I don't know what to tell. The best part about me, really, is a lot of you that poured into me while I was just trying to figure out life. I was the black girl that grew up in the suburbs, was trying to make some friends, and it wasn't everybody that was my friend, and you were. And I appreciate you for all of that.
Listen, thank you. You were aspiring to me. I was just like, wait, so there's more to life? I'm from the city, so I didn't know about the burbs. I'm like, hold on a second. There's another way of living?
Girl, listen, the struggle was real. I had to tell people, when you grow up, I'm gonna have to bring my table forward here. When you grow up in the suburbs and you're a black girl, and then, or really any culture that is growing up in white culture, and then you try to fit in with yours, and you can't dance, talk like them, dress like them, and all the extra things, baby, it was tough. It was tough, but I gotta give my love to Renata and God bless, Munchie, aka Munchie, and God bless the Sisha, because these were two sisters that pulled me in, and I'm talking about gold, and they taught me a lot, right? Awesome. And we got me together. I'll never forget my first time. Because I didn't dress right either, girl. I was a mess, and so
when I caught you was good. I don't know. I was
when you found me, oh yeah, that was the Munchie and Sisha makeover, baby. That was the makeover. They came through and got me together, but I didn't know how to dress. I didn't know how to do my hair, none of that. And listen, tonight, don't y'all make fun of me, okay? I had to get a blowout and threw it up in the bun, but I just didn't have it together. And so I'll never forget, they took me to Rainbow. And that was when I became cute. They just started making me dress. I got the micro braids. I mean, they started taking me to the house parties. Girl, they brought me in the culture. You hear me?
There's like, let me fast forward you, sis. Sis, you're stressing me out.
They
Let
got
me
me
help you.
together. They got me together.
Meanwhile, you see yourself like this, but I'm looking and I'm dead serious. You really did open my eyes because all I see is inner city. Do you know what I mean? So I
Mm,
don't even know. I don't know white culture. Honestly, I have no idea. Right?
mm,
I'm from the
mm.
hood. All I know is hood. Then I run into you, and even though we are on the same wavelength, so we all partying, we all doing this thing. You're like, oh hey girl, hey, just how you introduce yourself. I was like,
Not the
mental
hate
note,
girl, dear.
mental note.
Not the hate girl,
Hey
dear.
girl, hey, oh yeah, we're going out tonight. I was just like, okay. And so I was always been just inspired because I just didn't have that thing. And I just believe that God literally, he literally put people in front of me so that I can see something different.
Mm,
Period. To
mm.
expand my mind. Even though, you were trying to figure it out. I saw you and I said, there's more. That's literally the thought that came to my mind. Because that's when you were in
That's
Rockport.
interesting, Dia. That's so interesting. So let me tell you, I just wanted some black friends. That's all. And I was so any black girl that would be my friend, because I was like taboo. I learned real quick, like, oh, so I don't know that dance, or I don't know when they would ask me certain things and I wouldn't know. I was made fun of. And that was hard
Wow.
because
Right. 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 Let me see. Let me see what's going on. Listen, if you guys can still see me and hear me okay, let me know. Say we are good. Just type that in the chat box. We are good. I want to make sure that it's not me, just like last night. Because we're going to get through this thing. I am so excited yet again about this conversation. So let me know if you can see me and hear me okay. Um, just say we are good. Type that in. We are good. Awesome. Thank you. Listen, Keisha, okay, listen, Renee, you already know. We're gonna keep it going. All right, we're gonna keep it going. And so I'll wait for her to come back in or to reconnect. Listen, we're going to get this thing. We're going to get this thing right. So I'll wait for her to come back in. But just to let you guys know, again, I'm excited to talk to Tawana again because we both evolved. And so it's always great to see someone and even to hear her perspective tonight. I'm excited to hear it because, right, breathe and focus. I'm excited to hear her thought process because mine was the total opposite. And so that's already a testament of perception, right? We don't see ourselves the way that others see us. We just don't see it. So while we think we're a mess because we know ourselves, others see what we're doing. Others see how we're talking. Others see what moves we're making. And so, listen, my perspective was totally different. Totally different. Totally different. So while she is reconnecting, let me tell you a little bit about Tawana, okay? Like she said, she is a multipreneur. So she is the owner. She moved from Rochester to Louisville, and I'll have her say that. But she moved from Rochester to Louisville to start multiple companies. She is the owner of a restaurant right there in Louisville. She has an organization for Black women with the Kentucky Derby because she saw that there weren't enough Black women represented at the Kentucky Derby. So listen, when it's not there, you build it. Somebody say you build it. When you don't see it, that means you need to build it. When you don't see the resource, that means and you thought of it, that's because it's for you to build. So she has an organization that's literally for women of color so that we can show up and have a good time and have the same experience as our counterparts during the Kentucky Derby, right? And then she has this other business that kicked off. It's a store in the mall. She had a store in the mall directly before COVID hit. Okay, let me bring her back in. And then, listen, she had to hurry up and pivot. But you know what? Let's let her tell it. All right.
So, gosh, Dia, I don't,
I
I
was
think,
just giving them the rundown.
okay. So, and I apologize, everybody, because I am at this other venue.
Yeah, it's okay.
I am trying to utilize the resources that are here for me. But what I will say is this. I think the more important story is I have been blessed beyond measure.
Yeah.
I definitely came from humble beginnings. I'm a Rochester girl. My mother did her best with three girls raising us. But I think it all goes back to just some really important foundational things, right? Like it's like
Yeah. Yeah.
the conversation we were having just a moment ago, Dia, you met me and I was different. But that
Yeah.
different didn't make you ask, like, why is she like that? It was
Right.
more like, how? Like, how did she,
Yeah.
what did you know that I don't?
Yeah.
That's important, right? Because when you are willing to broaden your horizon in your mind, instead of having tunnel vision when you meet someone, you're more willing to explore and learn things that you might not traditionally get to know. The
Yeah.
other thing that I think is really important is your heart. How you respond to people, how you treat people, what's in your heart really, really does matter. And I'm learning even now that what you manifest directly is a
Mhm.
result of what you deposit, not just
Yeah.
deposit in yourself, but deposit in other people.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
sometimes people will look at all that I have accomplished, and while it is great, I also, with that, sometimes comes envy or
Oh,
uh,
yeah.
not the best support. And
Yeah.
what I want my everybody to know is that it's not about why did it happen for me, but how. And for
How?
me, how can I lend my knowledge and my resources and my expertise so that someone else that may have the why mindset shifts to the how
Mhm.
mindset? Because when you spend so much time asking why, you never get busy doing. And I want people to do, I want us to win. I want us to win. I want us to
Yeah.
do better. I want us to be better. COVID and civil unrest has really, what I tell people, have created Tawana 2.0. And
I love that.
it made me realize, like, I have a responsibility to my people too. Now, I'm not God. I can't take on everything.
Yeah.
I can utilize the platforms that I have to share the information, to connect people with other people, to say, yes, Dia, I'm willing to come on your show. And yes, Lamont, I'm willing to come on yours, because people do need to hear these stories. People do need to be encouraged. People do need to see the unicorns. Like, how did a young Black girl that grew up in a single parent household,
Yeah.
with a mother at the time, that when she, got going out in these suburbs, had a ninth grade education. Now, mind you, my mother did go back to school and obtain her master's, but she was doing the
Awesome.
best with what she had. How many of us have mothers like that? How many of
Yeah.
us, had barriers to where we were going? And so therefore, it is my responsibility to have these conversations. It is my
Yeah.
responsibility to share that really my true recipe for success, I think, had a lot to do with my heart and my mind. It really did, and I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
rest came, but being willing to check your heart and being willing to change your mind if you find that you don't have the ability to get out of your own way are
Yeah.
the keys, are serious keys to success. It's serious things that you need to bake into the foundation of what it is that you're doing. And then focus, right? I mean,
Yeah.
just focus. You're going to have, everybody is going, if I listen to every single person that told me every business idea, concept, um, anything wasn't going to happen, there is no way I would have this portfolio. But going back to the heart and the mind, when COVID hit and everything was shut down, and then we started really just digging into and dealing with the heaviness that comes along with just being Black in America,
Mhm.
I had to make some tough decisions. Do I come back online right away? Or do I really stop as a business leader and deal with all that's happening around me? Right? I could have focused on just my restaurant, just my boutiques, just my event, but I'm looking back, and the same thing I'm saying about the heart and the mind, by me being willing to hear what God placed on my heart, like, I need you to stop, and I'm
Right.
going to take the resources that you've accumulated
Yeah.
and then start pouring back into your community and pulling in those that nobody's listening to. That's the
Yeah.
other thing. People are so willing to to throw away the least of us. I was the
Yeah.
least. We're so willing to
Wow.
throw them away. But here's the thing I tell people a lot. There's only some that have been blessed with the ability to see purpose. If you
Yes.
see purpose and potential, that's just not your gift. And it's okay, right? Because it's not your gift. I have been so fortunate that he has given me the ability to see purpose and potential.
Oh, I love that. I love that. That is so good. Somebody type in heart and mind. I love that you said that about being able to firstly open your heart and change your mind, search yourself. Ultimately,
Check this.
you have to be able to search yourself. Firstly, because this thing called life will eat you up if you don't. If you have no idea who you are, it will chew you up and spit you out. So you have to be able to search yourself. You have to be able to see who you are, good, bad, ugly, indifference, and the greatness, the good things about you. And then you have to be, with that comes being able to accept others. What would you say? I feel like when you open up your heart and you're able to search yourself, you're able to accept others and ask things like how, instead of a put down or they don't look like me, they don't sound like me. No, it's like you're able to be accepting of others and then change, ultimately, like change lives, yours and theirs.
Yeah, and I want to speak to something because I'm certain that there are some people that are like, well, I have done that and I got
Yeah.
bit or I got hurt or I
Yeah.
got whatever. But the
Yeah.
reality is, in the Black community, because we're so far behind, we do have a lot of people that are operating from a position of lack and a mindset of scarcity. And
Yeah.
so, one of my dearest friends said something to me that really changed the way that I look at when I make a decision to lead or who I make the decision to follow. And she said, "You never send a hungry man out to fish." And when I thought about
Wow.
the moment, I was like, you know what? You're right. Because if you put a person that is hungry in charge of feeding the people, when they capture those fish, are they really going to bring them back? And can you blame them? They're hungry.
Wow.
So you don't send the hungry out to fish. So there are a lot of us that are in a position where we need to step up and be the fisherman. And you got to be,
Woo!
because you can't sit back and be mad when people in your community who are just trying to do something because nobody's willing to stand up and fish, but then they don't
Yeah.
share the fish. If you're not in a position of hunger, if you're not in a position of lack thereof, then you've got to be willing to fish to preserve and ensure that a hungry man is not out there fishing, right? So there's so much wrapped
Wow.
into that we have to be accountable and responsible for as leaders.
Oh, yes. Oh, my goodness. Somebody type in be the fisherman. That is huge. And that leads to the whole next conversation because that is what I saw in you. I saw that not only were you able to search yourself and you pivoted well, I just saw that you were a fisherman. That's what I got from you.
Mm,
Every business, every thought, every idea, every move, you became a fisherman of businesses.
mm. So I'll tell
So
you, I work hard and play hard. So I also look for businesses where I knew I could have a good time.
right, right. Not any business gotta be fun. It gotta be a
Gotta
fun
be
business.
fun.
And so let's talk about all of your different companies. So you have T Bain and Co. and Company. Then you have a restaurant, your organization with the Kentucky Derby. You have a boutique. Break it down for us because you are a multipreneur for real, for real.
So I like to think of myself as a super connector.
I love that.
Bain and Co. really is the umbrella organization,
Uh-huh.
and everything that I learned, that everything that I touch, typically helps drive people together who wouldn't ordinarily cross paths. And I think that is a direct result of my mother raising me in the white culture, and then me then transitioning into the Black culture. So that is
Yeah.
why it's so important. I could not do what I do today if I couldn't understand both. And there are other cultures that I don't understand because I wasn't as exposed, but I do understand these two very well, which is why I'm able to have some uncomfortable conversations in both spaces. And it's
Yes.
ironic, right? Because that was also the very thing that made me uncomfortable back then, because I was like, ooh, they think that I'm trying to be white, or they think I'm trying to be better or whatever. The reality is I was just raised that way, right? And so
Right.
I think all the time, everything's not so black and white. A lot of stuff really does drive back to culture. And so then, white women are taught in their culture to just be nice, right? And black women are taught to have a voice and to be bold. And so then things really get misconstrued because people think, oh, she's a doormat, but I'm really not, because my mother and my sisters still taught me to be bold and courageous. So I'm being nice and then you bite me. And I tell people all the time, excuse my French, I will bite your ass back, because that's that black culture, right? That's built in. So then people are like, oh, then she was just bait switching. No, I wasn't bait switching. I am a product of both cultures, and I'm black. Right. Okay, so I need to dig into that and understand. And I tell people all the time, if you don't know white culture, stop being so judgmental. You got to really dig into it. And if you don't know black culture, same thing. But we all got to put in the work, and we all got to be willing to do the work. So Bain & Co. is really a product of who I am and the things that I've built. Excuse me. And so I believe in hobby, passion, and work. And sometimes they really do blend well. And so how do I ensure that if I'm putting a lot of time into my passion, into my hobby, at the end of the day, I still want to be able to hit the bottom line. So if you remember back in the day when I was in New York, I worked in boutiques up there. So it was natural for me when it was time for me to, get into fashion. So I decided I wanted to do a men and women's boutique. But that wasn't, and I want to also share that the businesses and the way that my business portfolio evolved, there's a story there, right? I didn't just wake up one day and say, oh, I want to be a multi-door.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah. So my very first business, actually, I started with $4,000 in back child support. And this is funny because I know you're in, I don't know, actually, are you in Rochester or have you moved on?
Yeah, I'm in Charleston, South Carolina. I've been here for years.
You're in Charleston, South Carolina. So you might have a Rochester following. So, this might get back. But the truth of the matter is,
I do.
Okay, the truth of the matter is this, honey.
We got transparency over here. It's okay.
Well, it would have been 11,000, but this joker had the audacity to now challenge paternity, and our son was 11 at the time. That's a whole nother story for a whole nother day. So by the time he got done challenging and I finally got the check, it was only $4,000. And I had to make a choice between, do I get a new car? Me and the kids were sleeping on air mattresses. Do I get beds? And I was like, bump it. I'm going to go on ahead and I'm going to roll the dice. I had heard this sermon, I think the Sunday before, and I'm like, I'm going to open up this business. But faith and works, right? So as I began to have faith and putting in the work, doors just started opening. And so I started moving. And once I got rolling with this business, I ended up realizing that people were throwing more and more opportunities to me. Now, I also have learned, actually this past week, that only 2% of people have the ability to multitask. I did not know that. So when people were like, I don't understand how she's doing all this, I'm like, and I don't understand how you're not, right? But I didn't know that the ability to truly multitask is not inherent. Like it's not everybody's gift. So at any rate, so I was doing all this extra stuff. And so I finally one day said, okay, I need to sit down because I'm not trying to be like the Coming to America person, like what you got, what you need, I can do everything. So I started to try to streamline and categorize my services. And I realized what I really was a project management company. And I had 3 languages that I spoke. I spoke marketing, I spoke events, and I spoke large scale printing solutions. And so I started finally branding myself and explaining and articulating in a very concise way my value add, my proposition. And I was rolling, right? I had turned it into a multi-million-dollar company. But honey, 2016 hit. And while I was on a roll, so at least I thought I did, all of a sudden, one of my clients was like in a hurry to bring things back in-house. Now, they weren't the biggest as far as brand or revenue, but they were the highest or they were the most frequent paying. And anybody knows in business, when you're dealing with net terms, when people are like, well, I pay a net 60, net 90, net 120, that can become tough. Can you sustain your cash flow for 2 and 3 months at a time to get paid? And not everybody can. Right. And I could not. Once this client they were actually paying biweekly said, are we going to bring this back in house? Fast forward, God bless that did happen because they were being investigated and they ended up being shut down. So I at least had an opportunity to plan that I was going to lose that cash. I had to lay off almost 20 people. I had to pivot. But I made the decision then and I said, you know what? I will never put all of my eggs in one basket because that hurt, right? There were a lot of people that thought we were getting ready to go this way and all these promises that I was making, I just flatlined.
Wow.
So from there, I said, okay, since I wanted to make sure that I recession proof and client proof. God knows I didn't think about virus proof. So I started investing,
Right.
in other avenues. But I wanted to invest in things that were high transaction and high cash. And what I mean by that is, I wanted businesses where I ran a credit card every single day. So I don't care if it was $50 or $100. I knew that within 24 to 48 hours, money was going to hit the bank. And because in
Right.
business, cash is king. If you go through a long period of time and you're not getting an influx of cash in, then you got to figure out what you're going to pay, what you're not going to
Yeah.
pay, and heaven forbid if you got a payroll, right?
Hmm.
So that is how the other businesses began to come about. And while I was investing in the boutique and then I decided to invest in the restaurant, I was also asking myself, okay, well, what will this, project management firm be when we make our comeback? And I didn't want to be the same thing that we were before because I also understood my sales cycle. And I say this because I need people to understand the length of time that it takes when you first interact with your demographic, your customer, and the
Yeah.
time it takes to close them. Every industry is different. I knew that in my industry, project management, it was a good 6 to 12 months. That's how long it took from
Right.
the time I met somebody for them to give me a project of large scale, right? People aren't just going to throw things like that in your lap and immediately say go. At least not back then. Now in digital age with what's
Right.
going on, people are like, can you do it? If you can, I'm in trouble. Can you start tomorrow? Like it's totally changed the game. Um, but I was like, okay, I don't want to do that. And I don't have 6 or 12 months to try to replace this business. I need money now. So that's
Yeah.
how those things came in. Since I knew I wanted to make a different comeback, I wanted to make my comeback in corporate events. I had already proven that I could manage large scale moving parts
Hmm.
simultaneously. And so I thought, why not do that with events? So my selfish reason, outside of wanting to bring diversity to the Kentucky Derby, but my selfish reason was I wanted to demonstrate that I was capable at executing at a level of excellence on a large scale platform, my own event. And I wanted to do it as the lead. I didn't want to be the subcontractor or the tier two. I was just like, this is not because I know that I'm
I like
capable, but
that.
I can demonstrate it. So that's how the Derby Diversity
Yeah.
business came along. And for those of you that are plugged in, I know it's a lot. The easiest way to learn more, find more is to go to tbainandco.com. A lot of it's there. We have different shows that we
Yeah.
do, conversations that we have, ways for you to lean in and learn. Anything that you want to understand about any of those industries, we probably covered it on one of those. I will say that I thought I was going to flatline and fall on my face during COVID. It's actually been a huge blessing. It's allowed, because I did go digital quickly, for me to have a really wide net.
Yeah.
So I'm not as accessible as I once was. That's a blessing though for me and for all of those that connect, because that just means that I'm connecting with more people than I can connect, that I'm able to now connect with others. So it's a lot.
Awesome.
It's a lot.
I love that. I love that. Here's my question for you. How old were you when you started with that back pay child support check? How old were you?
Hmm.
Because I want to hear the mind of this young single mom.
Was I in my, gosh, I guess I guess in my early 20s.
Okay,
I was in my early,
wow.
yeah. Yeah, I
Early
mean,
20s.
honestly, being a mom made me mature very quickly. Like I was like, oh, this is why my mother didn't want me out in these streets. Like I was
This
like,
what she
oh,
was talking about.
this is what she was talking about, right? So I definitely did mature very, very quickly, and
Mhm.
I can't attribute. It wasn't like, oh, I got some extra, there was no father in the home, so I didn't have that pillar. I did have a good education with the school that I was in, but a lot of the, other black girls and white girls and others that went to that school got the same education. I really truly believe, Dia, when I tell people all the time, I used to say, which your voice, girl, by the way, like I always envied people that just had like gifts that were tangible. My gift couldn't be seen, right? So when you're being dismissed or people, so for you to say, I saw that, that tells me that you have a gift with the ability to see purpose and potential. Not everybody could. So I was
I
just
can, yeah.
so much.
Hmm.
But I knew that there was something in me. I just couldn't
Yeah.
quite articulate it. And so therefore it was frustrating because I'm like, I know that I feel this level of greatness, but I can't I can't manifest it right now the way if Dia just opened up her mouth and sung, or my sisters just opened up. And like I don't have that ability.
Yeah.
So really tough. I was heavy, and so I think to my mother, like my mother, with me rebelling, I think it was a mixture of one. I was going through this identity crisis.
Yeah.
Being told I want to be white. I didn't want to be white. I wanted to be black, but then there are days I didn't want to be black because my black friends, the black community wouldn't
I'm not
welcome.
black enough. Right.
I'm not black enough, right? Then I have all this greatness inside of me, but it's like, what makes you great? What can you do? So it was just kind of like, man, right? So it was tough. And so I think the rebellion and the seeking, the father being absent, seeking love in all those places, it was a lot. But so some days I sit and people ask me and I say, I don't want to take away from all the people that have poured into me. Like, who do you admire? And I'm like, I admire that young girl that in spite of all the odds, in spite of leaving home, in spite of rebelling, in spite of children, in spite of loving all the wrong men, in spite of all the mistakes that I made, in spite of all of it, I admire her because she could have very easily thrown it all away, and she didn't.
Oh, that is so good. Somebody type that in. I admire me. I admire me.
And that's okay, right? That's not cocky. That's not, nobody knows your story. Nobody knows your story. So, I tell people, if you got a problem with me saying I admire me, you're a hater. Okay. And like my son says, hate is such a weak emotion. I did a whole blog on that. It's so weak. Like, you are really hating. Check that.
Yeah. That is so good. I can remember. I guess the craziest thing is that and I'm so glad that we're having this conversation, is because me and you came from two different places, right? But we're having the same battle, to be quite honest, which is how I was able to see you, even if you were at the wrong stage, because we were young. We were young.
Was it consent? Where did we officially, like, our first crossing of paths? Where was the?
I thought that I came to your house.
Who brought you?
It was in Rockport. It was oh man, my cousin Tawana. And
Tawana, oh my God, Tawana, what is up with her?
She's good. And Lena.
Girl, wow.
Way back in the day, we ain't think about nothing in life.
Nothing, baby. Listen, Tawana for me was so cool. I'm like, she cannot be concerned. She is unapologetic about all her glory. And I was just so impressed with her.
Me too. And she was my cousin. So that's what I'm saying. So me and you, we're coming from different places, but our struggle internally is the same. Because firstly, I do know that there is something different about me, but I don't know what it is, and I don't have anything to back it up why it should even matter. Do you know what I mean? Sure. But I have this cousin who don't care about nothing.
Care about nothing.
I'm gleaming from her, and then that is how I met you. And then so gleaming from her, so that's kind of where I got my pretend confidence. Do you know what I mean? Wow. So because I'm with her now, I'm like, hey. Like, like, oh my gosh. But, so I got my fake
you just took me way back. Tawana, girl, listen.
Yes.
Good people. Like, I listen,
and
like I said,
yes.
So thank y'all for letting me roll. Thank y'all for showing me the road. Thank y'all for showing me, the bums and leave this one alone and
Meanwhile, I'm like younger. Like I'm out there, but I don't really know because honestly, like I said, I'm having the same battle. Here's the problem with me, and which is probably what attracted me to you, is that so while you are not black enough or white enough, I'm not hood enough. But I'm in the hood and I'm doing hood things and I'm trying these hood things and I'm just like, what y'all doing? We gonna smoke cigarettes. We're gonna do this. I'm just really trying to find my identity in this world that I kind of don't really identify with. Like, so when I saw you, I felt like I felt something. Do you know what I mean? Almost like when Mary and Martha, when their baby leaped, like I felt something. And so that opened my eyes.
Deep. See what I'm saying? Everybody's got struggle. Everybody's got a struggle. And here I am thinking you knew you had the blueprint. I had no idea you were dealing with that. Like you had no idea I was dealing without.
That was the beginning of my actress career. Because I act like it was okay, mainly because I had the security. I had my cousin, and I just really, she was the most confident person I had ever met. And I knew
listen,
that
Davonna could not be concerned. You hear me? She could not be concerned, and she didn't care if you were male, female. She couldn't be concerned. She could not be worried. And I was just like, who is this confident? But you know what, Dia? That goes back to, so here you have this Black girl growing up in white culture, this Black girl in the hood that's not really hood. Lena really wasn't hood either, if you really think.
She wasn't.
The other thing, the stereotype that was, I was like, so Lena could have dusted me in any ACT in a moment, but y'all putting me on a pedestal because I grew up in a white neighborhood. Meanwhile, she's living in the Black neighborhood, and I feel like she's smarter than me on books. Like, so I learned like all these stereotypes, right? And then I meet Davonna, and see, I was afraid of Black confident girls, right? Because they were supposed to be mean, because I met some that were, but then Davonna was like bad, confident, unapologetically, and super nice and cool.
She like joined my team, and I'm just like, okay. Yeah, join our team.
all day. So, but it just goes to show, like, if you're just willing to get uncomfortable and get out of the spaces that you're always occupying, just how much you can learn. And so now people are like, oh, well, I think you're this, I think you're so dope. And I'm like, well, that's really a tribute to all of the diversity that I've had in my life. And if you're not willing to go into these other spaces, get to know some white girls, some Spanish girls, some Asian girls, some white boys, some Asian boys, like get to know that. Some different levels on the socioeconomic status, from the mansion down to the hood to the holler. You got to be willing to do it all, right?
So I'm wondering, so with how you came up, and with, we already know we had humble beginnings. I feel like being an entrepreneur is a sexy word right now. I feel like it is just the sexy thing to say. Yes, I'm an entrepreneur. No matter what, it's just like, oh no, I'm an entrepreneur. It's almost like I run it, I'm a boss, I'm this, I'm that. And it is a lot of work. It's more work than having a 9-to-5. And what made you ready to take on this monster called entrepreneurship? So what was it the day before you said, okay, no more 9-to-5, going this way?
Oh, just fed up with people not understanding. Well, in my case, it was a little different because I was pouring myself into someone else's business. Like I, came to Louisville actually by way of Miami. And after being here for a little while, there was another Black business and they wanted to start a payroll company. And I had the ability to go out because I had been in Miami, basically working a straight commission job. So I knew how to hunt for what was mine. And so I said, okay, she showed me the paperwork. She just bought the software and was like, do you think you can do what you've done in this industry in this one? And I was like, I'm game. I mean, I even went as far as reducing my salary by 10 grand a year because she didn't have it in her budget to give me a marketing budget. I'm like, how in the world am I going to get this business rolling without marketing dollars? So I think for me, and I think for the reason a lot of people are going into entrepreneurship or just jumping ship where they are, period, is we're not valued. And people are learning, like, listen, I'm worth it. And you're going to treat me with respect because I am giving you my intellectual capital, my time, some of the best years of my life. So therefore, if I'm not happy where I am, I'm out. Right. And so leaders really have to understand, you got to treat your team. You got to treat those that are putting in the grind. You got to show them that you respect them, because I'm going to tell you, Yanni, right now, 2 locations, boutiques, a restaurant, an event that pulls all that together, and God knows what else is under this portfolio. Without my team, Tawana Bain is nothing. So I can walk around barking and acting crazy all you want to. Who's going to stay? I'm not getting ready to, right? So I tell people all the time, like, it's really bigger than being an entrepreneur. It is really about really willing to lead. And I say leaders lead. You lead, and you are not going to be the most important person in your company. You're just not. Now, if you're fortunate enough, and for whatever reason, God has blessed me with a team that is like, oh my gosh, we admire you, we respect you, we love you. That's a blessing. I've gone through iterations of teams over the years, and that's not always the case. You have some people, that really can't stand you, but they're working for you. And that blows my mind, like how that works. You have some that really want to be you working for you.
Oh,
And you
yes.
don't respect you working for you. And so being able to unpack all of that as a leader and as a Black woman, that's the main thing. Is like I need people that's going to work for Black women to recognize you still working for a boss and you still working for a CEO. So
Yeah.
please give her the same level of respect, and I shouldn't have to turn my chair around when somebody starts talking to me crazy to remind them not only who I am, but whose I am. I shouldn't have to do that. Right? I have to do that because you wouldn't do that anywhere else.
No.
Right? So the color of my skin should not undercut the role and the impact that I'm having in the community, in society, in this building.
I love that. I love that. Somebody type in leaders lead.
Leaders
So you
lead.
are a natural born leader. Do you feel like leaders are born or leaders can be created?
I think leaders are born for sure. I think you can have the label of a leader within an organization, but I think leaders like leaders that move and shape a society or can build a community, that is not, honey, because listen, there's not enough school in the world. So I sometimes when I look around and I'm like, there's a community that has been
Yeah.
established that nobody could have taught me that. So that had to have been something that I was born with, in my opinion. Now others
Yeah.
may have a different way of it, but I don't know. I didn't go to school for it, okay, and I certainly didn't learn it from some of the people that I work for, unless it was me just learning what not to do. Right? That's the
Yeah.
only way I can sum that up.
What about entrepreneurs? Do you feel like entrepreneurs are born or entrepreneurs are, you can make an entrepreneur?
Yeah, I
I
think you
have
can make.
my thoughts. I'm going to let you give your thoughts.
I think the difference between a leader and an entrepreneur is anybody who wants to sell a product can sell a product. Like if you want to do that, you can go and register and create an organization. But the question is, an entrepreneur can also have no employees, right? Or they can have no impact out in the community. So I think there's a really different. So you
That's
say
good.
it's sexy to be an entrepreneur, and there's nothing wrong with that, right? But I don't think that my greatest attribute is the fact that I have these businesses. I don't think it's that. I think my greatest attribute is that I'm a leader, and I'm able to help shape communities. I'm able
Yeah.
to heal communities. I'm able to help bridge a divide between communities. Leaders have a much different impact in that sometimes it's really social capital, not so much cash, money,
Yeah.
right? Like that's nice.
I know that, girl.
That's nice that you might have um,
Right.
$1 million in the bank or $10 million
Right.
in the bank. But the bigger question is, if all hell broke loose tomorrow and a community needed somebody to lead them
Yeah.
from point A to point B, can you do that? Right? I
Yeah.
think that's what is the difference between an entrepreneur and a leader. Neither is wrong, right? But I'm going to tell you, it is so much harder to lead than it is to be an entrepreneur.
I love that. I love that. Okay. So we are going to give me about 2 more minutes, guys. Give me about 2 more minutes. I have one more question, then I want to give you the final say. All right. What in your entire span of everything that you've done, what is the thing that you are most proud of achieving?
Hmm. Jedi. Jedi. So Jedi was born, it's been 2 years in the making, but I gave birth to it during Corona and civil unrest. We just got to do better. We've got to do better. We've got to be in a better position. And the only way that we're going to do that is by changing the game and how we are investing not only in ourselves, but in one another. The ability to look at a Dia to look at a Tawana, and me to say, this is what I'm capable of doing. And I'm not have to show you this long, huge, all these, case studies for you to believe that I'm capable. For me to be willing to hire you, for you to be willing to hire me, for us to be willing to hire each other. Jedi, which is the Global Economic Diversity Development Initiative, is my proudest thing. Watching us really demonstrate that we trust one another, that we're willing to invest our dollars back into our community, that we're willing to invest our dollars just back into us. And that is crazy because I've had these other businesses forever and I'm not going to make money off Jedi, but it is my proudest moment watching us create something that will live on in perpetuity to serve our community.
I love that. I love that. Jedi, how do we get more information about it?
GEDDI.org, Jedi.org. And so for those of y'all that, are entrepreneurs or you want to be in entrepreneurship, we have free programs that you can do virtually. You can go through the Just Boss Up Academy. You come out with a certificate. It's called We Got Buttoned Up. You have everything that you need to go out there and be legit and kill it, right? That's what I want. I want to see us growing, thriving, just living our best lives and having some money in the bank, right? And not being mad at white people because they got it all.
Not being upset. Oh, Lord. Let me put this up. I'm trying to put it in the comments so that we can go ahead and check out this website. Listen, this has been an amazing time for me. Again, I am so godly proud of you. First of all, it keeps changing my words, but I am just so proud of you, mainly because I was there. So
and I'm proud of you, sis. Yeah, you are beautiful. You are amazing. You are the full package, honey. So I want you to know the feeling is mutual. It is
Thank you so much.
Very
Thank
well.
you so much. I have got to get down
to Louisville. Girl, you got to come down Derby week too, because that's when it all goes down.
When is it? When is Derby
week? It's the first week of May every year.
Okay.
And it's off
so
the chain.
Hopefully we'll have one.
Hopefully we'll have one, right? Because Roman just won't let us live our best lives.
But listen, I so enjoyed this conversation with you, and I look forward to many, many, many more. Listen, guys, if this has been good for you, somebody type in push. This was the push that I needed. Firstly, because you are somebody that we can identify with. And that's really why I wanted to have you on. I think those who are great, but I really want to pull from people that are right next door to us so that we can have some social proof that is not about a silver spoon. It's not about it's not about any of that. It's about what you determine to focus on. Period. It's about where you go, and like you said, how you open your heart, how you go ahead, and how you question things the right way. So I had to have you on, and I'm so glad that you are a part of the Power Push Be Courageous series. Do you have a final say? What are your final words?
My final say is y'all support this sister right here. Spread the word about what she's doing. Pour into her. We need more Black women leading out front and killing the game. And the only way to do that is by leaning in with those that are already paving the way.
Oh my goodness, that was amazing. Listen, come on, y'all, put your emoji hands together for Miss Tawana Bain. That was absolutely amazing. Listen, guys, that concludes tonight, night 3. Make sure you join me back here tomorrow night for the 4th night where I have my girl Rocky B representing Rochester again. Yes, we're going back home. Y'all know I just love to go home now. So we'll have her on, and I'm excited to talk to her. It's all about being courageous. Ladies, this is now the time. While we are in this pandemic, we are not, like Renee said last night, we are not going to waste this time. We are going to use this time appropriately. So we're going to come out with courage. We're going to come out courageous. We're going to hit the ground running. So let's make sure that we are not our yesterday selves. We are the selves for the future. Okay. I absolutely love you guys. As I am taking myself to next, I am going to take you with me because I am my sister's keeper and I am your power pusher, Dia. And I absolutely love you guys. You guys have an amazing night, and I'll see you back here at 9 p.m. tomorrow night. Peace. Let's see if it's gonna act right, because it's been spot.